Welcome to the newest episode of the YHH Junior Hockey Pod. We are currently recording this on the evening of the Boys State High School Hockey Tournament, so we got a lot going on, but thought we should still record an episode. So once again, as usual, I'm Sydney Wolf, joined by Pierre Audi and Drew Steele. Super excited about all the things that are happening with the high school season ending. We got some players that are heading out to juniors now, and some movement type things related to that, and obviously some head coaches and stuff, movement, all that good stuff. So crazy time of year, but we thought we needed to do an episode here and give y'all some updates. So Peter, why don't we start with you? How have you been doing? It's a crazy time of year. Have you had just an insane last week with all the boys stuff and photos and tweets and all that good stuff?
Let's just say, have we recorded since the triple overtime 3A section final?
I
don't know what day it was.
I think that was the day after, a day or two.
The day after? Okay, so I only did 2 boys section finals. One of them was the emotional roller coaster between Rosemount and St. Thomas Academy. And the other one happened to be the frickin' triple overtime 3A final, an hour and a half from where I live. Great game. I think it's that time of year where everybody starts feeling just a little bit burned out, and I'm there. I'm at the wall right now, and we still got to get through Boys State and Youth State. And then we can take
college,
it.
And then it just keeps going. And then
Stop it. Don't bring up college hockey to me ever again.
And then it just keeps going and going. You know, it's the sport that keeps on giving in the spring. All the playoffs just one after another. But I feel that, I just got to get through the state tournament weeks are a grind for sure. Yep. And Drew, I know you're working the Wisconsin state tournament. So why don't you fill us in on what you're doing? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Second straight year doing the semis for the boys. They have like a bunch of old dudes come in for the finals. So I prep 8 teams I prep 4 games. So my voice, as you can probably tell, not at 100% still, but getting back in the right direction. So I've been in touch with 8 coaches, preparing for that, broadcasting live Thursday and Friday. Our arena actually is where the state tournament takes place too. So it's kind of a madhouse at the rink right now. Like today, there was a tent being put up directly behind my car. So I was kind of like stuck in my parking spot for a little bit today. But no, it's fun. Like, I don't know, I'll take it. Like, it's a good time. It looks good on a resume, and overall, I think it's fun too, right? Like the atmosphere. I know you guys see it, and I'm not trying to poke fingers at the girls' tournament, but when the girls' tournament's empty, like the atmosphere isn't there, and that's kind of what they had at the Alliant Energy Center here in Madison. They moved it over my first year in Madison, so it's been at Cap Ice for 4 years now. This is the 4th year, and like it gets sold out, and the atmosphere is like the best thing ever, and like it's great for the players. Fans might not like it all that much just because it's sold out. For example, I can tell you a former NHL player of one of the schools that's playing in the tournament didn't get tickets to their semifinal game on Friday because it sold out too quick and is scrambling to try to get tickets. So, and that's awesome that like you can sell out a game. It's similar to AA, right? When AA sells out the X, it's an awesome atmosphere for everyone involved. And I think that's a big key, but no, it'll be fun. And I'm looking forward to it this weekend, but gosh, the Caps need to get back on a roll too. We've been struggling to put the puck in the back of the net lately. Snuck one out on Saturday to split with Chicago, but yeah, I mean, we're pumped to be back, pumped to have the voice, and you'll see me sipping some honey and water throughout the broadcast. Make sure that voice is ready to go for Thursday at 9:30 a.m.
Wow, yeah. So we got some news and notes here related to, high school players. Like I said at the beginning, guys, now that their seasons are over, a lot of them are, heading on over to the ranks of junior hockey. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of them. So might not have like 100% of them, but these are just some names we've started to see here kind of pop up, because obviously I'm sure there's going to be more here over the next few weeks, especially after this week. Once state's over, a lot of those guys, I'm sure too, are going to be heading out to their respective junior teams in the USHL and maybe the NAL as well. But a couple guys have joined the ranks. I accidentally typed college hockey, not college, junior hockey. That'd be a little wild, but I'll read off some of these names, and if you guys have any comments on any of them, feel free to go for it. But two guys heading out to Waterloo: Ryan Marquardt, he's from White Bear, he's an Arizona State commit, and Keegan Davis, who played for Benilde, and he's committed to Augustana. Barack Cheslak, and it sounds like we were thinking possibly Blake Sinclair. I'm not sure if we ever confirmed that, Drew, but some Rogers guys headed out to Omaha.
Yeah, they're both there. They both played on Saturday night against Muskegon.
So some Rogers guys headed out there, and then some more Rogers players as well. Cole Bumgarner and Jaden Kurtz both headed to Chicago. And if you remember, we talked about it a while back. Cole Bumgarner played for Fargo, but his rights were traded a while back. So heading out to Chicago. So a couple of big names there. And I know Kurtz is kind of one to watch because he's been on the pretty high on the NHL Central scouting list recently. So a couple of pretty fun players actually to watch here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Kurtz played in both games this weekend. We had Chicago this weekend, so kind of fun to get to watch both of them skate, Kurtz and Bumgarner. Bumgarner only played on Saturday, but you can tell he's getting used to it. And honestly, I don't think it's the role that he'll probably be in long term, right? Like, these guys are coming into teams that already have those roles built into people. Cole Bumgarner is probably not a fourth-line player on most USHL teams. It's trying to find the right role that fits in for the rest of this year and showing off your talent for next year. But Jaden Kurtz, they had him as the extra defenseman both nights, but they also had him running the second power play unit. So that shows how much trust they have in him. Like, whether or not he was playing a ton, I do think he was getting some solid minutes, especially for not playing with the team since November. But to have him running that second power play kind of shows the trust they have in him and the skill levels that's there. So I would expect, especially, I don't think, like, back in the day, I remember Noah Cates, their team didn't make it to state his senior year, and he was tearing it up with whatever USHL team he was with at the time. Like, the social media clips were going nuts at the time. I don't know if you're going to see it right away out of those two, but I do think eventually, like, their skills just going to step up. And I think Chicago, talking with people in their building, I think they're going to be set up so nice going into next season. New arena, new everything. More than likely, like, I think they have 8 guys that are 16U or 17U, or sorry, like 2009s and 2010s, or 2009s and 2008s on their team. So, like, I do think they have a good base going into next season. It's the playoff push between them and Madison, to be honest with you, going down the stretch of the season. Both teams have a pretty tough schedule. So will they sneak in this year? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping not, just because my team would get in then. But I do think that they're in a great spot moving forward with the likes of Ryland Rooney. They acquired Cade Strom. They still have Kemps, who's is like that junior year or senior year of high school level to compare to the Minnesota side of things. He's a 2008. But they have some good pieces up and down with Kurtz, Bumgarner coming in probably next season. Dallas View not being committed somewhere. Is he back next year then too? You know what I mean? Go down the line there. Is that they're in a pretty good spot is basically where I'm saying, where that Chicago team with Kurtz and Bumgarner, they're just going to slide into a role there that fits them pretty well. So it was fun to watch them play, and that was a long-winded answer of them saying, yes, they both were in the lineup this weekend for the Steel.
Yeah, a lot of interesting names and some familiar faces to Minnesota high school hockey fans joining the rosters here. So we'll have to keep an eye on those because I'm sure there's going to be more over the next week or two.
After the state tournament, and Drew, you mentioned like Cole and Jaden are kind of working their way back into the lineup. As soon as Moorhead gets knocked out, I can only imagine what Madison is hoping how fast Titan Bergeson can get back down to Madtown. And I hope that people remember when they're watching these kids play in the USHL is that they've gone through already a physically exhausting season if they've done before and after, and an emotionally exhausting one too. Rogers was expected to compete for a Class 2A state championship. So Cole and Jaden might still be feeling the emotional effects of being knocked out, but it's been a long season. So I think you're dead on by saying that they're figuring out roles for right now, and those roles should expand next year.
I would wonder with the one that you mentioned coming back to Madison more than likely, I would take a guess that he's probably coming into a different situation than Cole Baumgartner and I was about to say Ryland Rooney, no, but Jaden Kurtz, because he proved it before he went into, right? Like Tyden was a point per game player. So with how Madison's been offensively lately, I would imagine that a role kind of opens up for Tyden. And another one that was a pickup in the Phase 2 draft this past year for the Caps that I've been excited to see if he comes after the season is Bodie McConnell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like that would be a huge piece for the team to come in, and just with Pitsley and Nevers already on the team, like the Dyna already there should help him kind of merge in. So just with how he's played this season at the high school level, that's another one that I'm excited about. But yeah, no, there was a talk with the Rogers kids because there's 4 of them, right? There's been a talk between USHL broadcasters. I was talking with Joel Norman in Omaha where it's like, how did this team not go further? Like, I know it's I didn't watch a whole lot of Rogers High School this season. We didn't have any prospects there last year. Watched them quite a bit with Gertis. But just looking at their team, it's like we have 4 kids. We have 4 kids the week after they're done playing in the USHL, which usually means you're going to be playing in the USHL next season. And that's 20% of your roster. Now I know like you need more than 20% of your roster to succeed in AA in Minnesota, but just something to consider. Like that makes it look a lot more of an upset than it was. There makes that upset look a lot bigger than it was originally perceived, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point too with Bodie McConnell. I mean, if you guys want offense, he's been kind of a goal-scoring machine lately, so that would definitely be an interesting piece, and he could have a big week too. So that'd probably bring you a lot of confidence if you're a guy who, you know, either makes a deep run at state or wins the title, and then you're like got all this confidence and then head off to the USHL. That could be an interesting combo, but obviously, you know, easier said than done with state because everybody's pretty good. So we'll see, but that'd be an interesting piece to follow for sure. Sorry, I'm yawning. You know?
Yeah, I'm sorry if you can hear my dog whining in the background. She's just
we got dogs whining, Sid's yawning, and here I am just on an island of perfection all by myself.
Turn the lights on. Let's see that life beater underneath.
No.
Oh, here we go.
This little there we go. There we go. Looking good. It's springtime. You know, you gotta let it breathe a little bit.
Hey, it was
literally
like
smoking here because of that.
It was too hot today. I'm not a fan.
Drew, are you doing all the things for your voice? It looks like you're doing all the things.
Well, like I said, I think I said it on last week's podcast. I was on vocal rest for a good little bit a couple weeks ago, and we have inhaler. The doctor recommended taking allergy pills just to make sure. Amoxicillin, steroids. They gave me like an inhaler, like enhancer thing. Like, dude, we're trying everything. WIAA does not rest for Drew Steele's voice.
Yeah, we need your pipes clear for Madison Memorial versus Madison whatever.
Sorry, dude. Edgewood looks to retain their state championship.
Oh, Edgewood, that's what it is.
That's the team. I'm gonna have to look at the schedule to be honest. Like I know the teams, I don't know how they're ranked still. But that shows.
Damn it! What did I do?
Edgewood plays the University School of Milwaukee.
Ah,
okay.
Wow.
Stevens Point's the favorite in the big schools.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out.
There's your Wisconsin hockey minute.
Wisconsin hockey. Speaking of Minnesotans doing cool things, we saw a clip that Cooper Simpson scored his 30th goal of the season for Youngstown. He's just lighting it up. Only person with more goals is Alex Pelletier from Lincoln, who's got like 47 or something.
Jeez.
Just on a tear. But Cooper Simpson's, I think, second in overall scoring right now for the league. I think he's just behind that guy. So that's pretty cool. And you gotta assume that he's got to be going to North Dakota probably next year with the year that he's having, which is pretty cool. And then a couple little just coaching tidbits here. Obviously, as we get towards the end of the season, some teams are shaking some things up, or obviously some guys are moving on to other things as well. So just a couple that I saw. This one I couldn't really find that much more info on, but wanted to throw it out there. Apparently, Fargo's equipment manager named Eddie Duffy has moved up to the AHL. So that's kind of cool, moving up to the pro leagues.
Duffy is one of the most referenced people when I talk to people in the USHL. They love Duffy. They love that guy.
Well, he's moved up now. He's a professional now. Professional.
Good for him.
So that's super cool.
He deserves it.
I couldn't really find anything besides the team posting about it, so I don't know if there's going to be a press release or not, but that was pretty cool, so I wanted to shout him out. I just saw this one today. Chicago Steel associate head coach Tyler Haskins takes a job in Germany. So St. Cloud State's own Bobby Gepfert promoted to GM. Drew, I think I saw you tweeted about this as well, so, obviously got to shout out for St. Cloud State people when we can.
Yeah, I love it. I remember watching Bobby back when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old at the Herb. At the time, the National Hockey Center. My bad, didn't want to go out of line there, but no, like it was cool to see. It was actually kind of odd during COVID. A lot of people had the experience of going back to school just because they didn't have a lot else to do during the time. And Bobby at the time was actually the goaltending coach at BU, and he was taking classes at St. Cloud State and ended up in one of my Zoom classes. And I looked at the names on the Zoom and was like, is this guy like a joke? Like, there's no way there's two Bobby Gepferts. So I like hit him up on the messages on the side, and you can see him like eye roll. Oh God, I thought I wouldn't run into anybody else. But so I kind of connected with him there. We follow each other on Twitter. We go back and forth once in a while in the DMs, talking about the Steels, talking about the Caps, because he's been with them for a couple seasons now. He was their director of scouting for a couple of years. Then he moved into a role where he was the assistant GM this past summer and has a big part. So super cool to see him. Yeah, we went back and forth. I made sure to comment on Twitter that I used to watch Bobby as a kid, then in class with him. Great to see him moving up, and he just responded a couple of minutes ago saying, "Thanks for the kind words and for making me feel old." And I said, "No worries. Don't get your team too good to beat my Caps." But no, he's a great guy though, and I'm glad that Chicago's going that direction. And like I said, Chicago's I might have been preluding a little bit there that they have a pretty good GM in charge there too now, and I'm really excited for Bobby to see what he can do.
Yeah, I just saw that and was like, wow, we gotta throw that on the pod. And then one other one here, Drew. It sounds like you had some information on some Omaha coaching additions. So why don't you kind of fill us in on that stuff?
Yeah. So during my time in Corpus, there was an agreement between the NA3HL Ice Bats and the Corpus Christi Ice Rays, just to kind of like have ice, whatever, have that pipeline, especially in Texas. There's not a ton of hockey anyway. So like our team would go and practice there a lot. And at the time, one of their assistant coaches, who's now the equipment manager in Cedar Rapids, name is Patrick Oberlin. I became really close with him because he helped us out on equipment sometimes. Would come to Corpus just for weekends when the Ice Bats had off. So I text with Patty all the time. It came across my timeline that they had hired his brother Phil, who was the head coach at Austin at the time, that Omaha had hired him as an assistant coach. I didn't see a ton of traction on socials about it, but Phil was an assistant with Corpus the past couple of seasons and now takes that next step. And I do think Omaha has the right people in charge, not looking at Phil directly, but I do think like the right people are in charge now, and there hasn't been a ton of changeover this season. Last year, I think at this point we were on coach 4 for the Lancers, so like clearly in the right direction. It's going to take a couple of years. When you draft phase 1 kids, like last season's draft is 2009 players, so they won't affect teams until 2 or 3 years from now. I do think that they're moving in the right direction, as crazy as it sounds, because let's see, how many wins do the Omaha Lancers have currently? I know they're getting close to Waterloo. They're at 11 wins this season, but I do think like that's already a 4-win improvement from last year. Now it's tough to go down from 7 wins, but I do think they're going in the right direction. But I wanted to shout out Phil, just because I know the family's a really good family. They had some NA3HL experience coaching, and then actually ACHA coaching back in the day at Ohio University. So I know Pat would want me to shout out the Bobcats of Ohio University, and I wanted to make sure to shout out Phil because great family there, and good to see him moving up, because I know the grind in the Null South can be something for you.
Oh, for sure. Shout out Corpus. Shout out Ice Rays.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out
Joey Erickson.
Joey Erickson. Shout out.
I could go through their whole front office if we needed to shout out people, but I will just shout out Joey because I know Joey that got a smile out of Sid at least.
Yeah. Shout out Joey, who used to say electric like 100 times a day. So that's why I also say absolutely electric all the time. So we used to say that all the time, working for the St. Cloud Rocks. Love it. Before we keep going with hockey, want to say shout out and thank you to the USHL for sponsoring this show. Obviously, we love the USHL and the development that it provides its players. And I was just talking on the college pod with Tony, who I believe said that Glenn Heffron's probably going to be in Minnesota for the state tournament coming up this week. So that'll be pretty cool. Obviously, probably watching some of the top guys that'll be in the USHL in the future. So again, thanks for sponsoring this show, USHL. And we still got a little bit more USHL news and notes to talk about as well. A couple commitments here, no Minnesotans recently, but a couple interesting ones that I just wanted to quickly run through. One of them, kind of notable if you're somebody who loves the transfer portal like I do. Connor Brown recently committed to Alaska Anchorage. Not a Minnesotan, but a guy with kind of an interesting path. He actually won the Natty with Western Michigan last year. Was a guy that didn't end up actually playing in any games, though. So he was on the team, but he didn't ever play any games for the Broncos. So he ended up coming back to the USHL. He's playing in Tri-City, and now he committed to Alaska Anchorage. So just thought that was kind of a unique path to talk about. The new, well, not new now, but one of the newer goalies in the USHL. And sorry if I butchered
Let's hear it.
Pronunciation. I'm going to go with VT Luivara.
Pretty close. Loivara. Yeah, that's
all
what.
Right, not too bad.
He kept the Caps to like 3 goals total this weekend, so I had to say his name a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, you guys just had Chicago. Yeah, so you'd know. One of the more recent goalie additions, not super new, but recently commits to UConn. He's a New Jersey's draft pick, so obviously that's notable to pick up a drafted goalie. And then lastly, don't shout out too many of the Null guys, but I just thought this was interesting because last week we mentioned that Augustana picked up a guy from like the St. Louis area, because normally they just have a bunch of like northern Minnesotan guys and Metro Minnesota and then like Belarusians. And now they're picking up players last week from like St. Louis, Missouri. And now this week they got a commitment from Henry Hlinka, who is playing for the Seattle Junior Kraken. So not sure how they kind of connected there, but he committed to Augustana. He's played in a couple of games with the Chippewa Steel, so not sure if they were watching the Null or if they watched him through other avenues. But obviously I thought that was kind of just an interesting one to talk about, because normally they've been so Minnesotan heavy. They're getting kind of some other guys here now, which is cool to see as well. And we got a lot of other just kind of random but fun talking points here to kind of go off of. But before we do that, big shout out to our other sponsor, APX Hockey. Thanks for sponsoring the show. And if you're looking for off-season training and development. We do have just a handful of spots left in, I believe, our goalie program and our girls program, but most other tiers are full. So if you're looking for something to do this summer, you got to apply now. And we also have awesome advisors. So if you're in need of that, apx-hockey.com, click on the news tab. You can read stories by me. And thanks for sponsoring the show. Shout out. A couple other news and notes here. I thought we could talk about this on the show a little bit since we were talking about it in our text string, because I thought, we all clearly had thoughts on it. But we were kind of just talking about, is the BCHL on the same level as the NAL now? Because in the past, it's kind of felt like it's the NAL kind of not on the bottom, because obviously they're not the worst here, but the NAL and then kind of the BC in the middle and then the USHL. And now there's Major Junior makes people college eligible. So it's kind of everything's up in the air a little bit. So I know we were texting about it, but I didn't know if you guys had anything you wanted to add, because that is kind of an interesting topic of like, are the two leagues sort of on the same level now with Major Junior kind of shaking everything up? It's been kind of a strange year.
I think Drew, hold on. I think yours is going to be a lot longer than mine, so I'm going to squeeze in my 2 minutes here. I think that it's a dangerous comparison, because what we do here is very dangerous. To make a direct comparison between the NAL and the BCHL, or even comparing junior leagues in general, just because everything is so transient and so flighty year by year, based on not only players but also coaches. Coaches change, systems change. There's just a lot of moving pieces. I've always been under the assumption that the BCHL was more of an offensive league. You look at some of the numbers coming out of places like Penticton and, everybody's got 100 points, whereas I've always viewed the NAL, and granted, my experience with the NAL is only during the season opening showcase and the Robertson Cup. The NAL has always felt rougher, a little more physical, a little more bullshit after the whistle, after literally every whistle, which makes games take 4 hours. I don't know I think that like the cream of the crop in the BCHL, Drew's mentioned Penticton a couple of times. I think the cream of the crop in the BCHL has always been a little bit above the NAL, but I think the NAL might be stronger top to bottom. And people can tell me if I'm being stupid, because I don't pay nearly enough attention to either of these leagues. But I think that the BCHL losing Penticton certainly hurts. And I'm very curious to hear Drew's take on this. Drew, what are you looking at?
I was just making sure that I was getting like team names right and everything.
Oh, okay. Your pod battle station.
Well, no, I don't know if it's pod battle. I have my like little station here at home where I have dual monitors, but right now it's 3 monitors because I forgot the converter. So I got my regular computer up too. So I think that in the past, I would say that the tiers have went, like, obviously for the college route specifically, I would say that in the past it went USHL, BCHL, NAHL. And I'm not saying that the top players in the NAHL couldn't compete in the USHL, or the bottom tier guys in the BCHL wouldn't also be the bottom tier guys in the NAHL, right? Like, there's always going to be some mix in that. What I would say is, with the reason the BCHL had always been good, like specifically like the top league that could commit college players in Canada, was because the kids that didn't want to go to Major Junior to play college stayed in the BCHL. Like, I think the BCHL also kind of dug their own grave a couple of years ago with the Hockey Canada stuff, where right now it's kind of the Wild West with the BCHL. When they left Hockey Canada, for example, if on February, whatever day the rosters were set, besides trades, you could go and just grab a player off of the Brooks roster, and that was like, you didn't have to trade them anything. Where typically between leagues you have to trade things, whether that's money, whether that's, hey, we're sending you a player back. You see in the NAHL and the USHL, I think it was either Bismarck or Minot had a player go up and they wanted a player back. So it's not like always, we're just taking a player off your roster because it's a better team. What I would say is that with the top kids in Canada having the ability to go play college after playing Major Junior, the talent level is going to go down a little bit in the BCHL. I do think that the NAHL having 45,000 teams, probably there's always going to be the market or two that's just not like they're ran differently. But I think the top end teams in the NAHL are going to be better for a kid long term than the top end teams in the BCHL in the next couple of years. Now, where the bottom teams fit, I don't know, but I do think it's about the same level, if not a little bit higher, because of the legitimacy of USA Hockey behind it. The BCHL being the Wild West right now does make it where it's like, hey, come play for us. Sure, it's great for a kid that wants to get out of a situation and go play somewhere. I don't know if that was the case with Dane Sorensen in Sioux Falls, but he just left Sioux Falls' roster as he was still protected by Sioux Falls to go play in the BCHL. I don't know if he was to get his reps, get whatever. Dane Sorensen's been traded to Muskegon after that, so like I don't think he was in Sioux Falls' plans long term. But that would kind of be my thing, is with the top end kids in Canada being able to play major junior and still go to college, what good does the BCHL do for an American player to go up there rather than, like, you're telling me you want to go play in I'm just trying to find the one that looks the worst. I was about to say Victoria, but it's beautiful out there. You want to go play in
Abbott's. Abbott's is an AHL team.
Say you want to go play in
Cranbrook?
Okotoks. Yeah, Cranbrook, sure.
Okotoks.
Like, whatever. Like, say you want to
Or
play.
Okotoks.
Well, it's not a shot at Okotoks. I think Zach Okabe played there back in the day. But just
the Oilers.
Yeah, but like, you want to go play there, or do you want to go play in Corpus Christi? You want to live on the beach, or do you want to live
That's
in
true.
basically Russia, like weather-wise? Like, I don't know. Like, and I'm not saying every null market's the best. Like, Bismarck, North Dakota still exists, and that's not a shot at Bismarck, but like, it's not. Bismarck's
It could be a
not
shot at Bismarck.
Twin
That's
Cities.
fine.
Oh yeah, shot at Bismarck then. We should just become the anti-Bismarck podcast. That'd be unreal. Just like pick a random team. But no, I just could see a world where it's more even than people think. And I know when kids are coming back from high school to their USHL teams, that's kind of what sparked it. It was like, hey, this kid just might go to the BCHL. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Would you rather go to the BCHL or the NAHL right now if you're throwing a random high school kid that's going back to play USHL and has his rights protected? Like, I don't know. You tell me, would you rather go play in Chippewa, or would you rather go play in Salmon Arm? You know what I mean?
I want to say yes, but for the Canadian kids, they might just want to stay in Canada.
Correct. I agree with that. Canadian, but if you're the top end Canadian kid now, you're probably signing with the WHL team at that point.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a real dividing line between, like, Corpus Christi, you can hang out on the beach, but what if a kid doesn't like the beach? And I'm not saying that to be flippant about it, but some kids might just say, nah, Texas doesn't sound like my kind of place. I would rather live in Salmon Arm or Okotoks or Cranbrook or Victoria. How many other places in British Columbia can I name? Fraser Valley? Is that another one?
No.
In the BCHL?
Alberta Valley.
Fraser Valley?
I don't know if Fraser Valley, are they still a team? Weren't they Fraser Valley Rush?
They're not in the BCHL.
I don't think they are anymore.
We got Alberni Valley and Cowichan Valley.
Oh, Alberni Valley. The Bulldogs.
Yeah. Cowichan Valley. Cowichan. I don't know the pronunciation of all these.
Just all of the valleys.
All the valleys.
All the
And
valleys.
I get your point there, though. Like a Canadian kid, you're probably still wanting to play in the BCHL. But I do think, like, a lot of those kids that are American that have went to the BCHL for years, like, Penticton's not a team in this league anymore. If you're going to go out to Penticton, you're probably signing with Penticton still and playing the dub. So that's where I think it takes that step back, where, like, a Ryan Sandelin, for example, went out and played a year in Penticton in the BCHL he's probably just going to go play in Penticton in the Dub now. That sort of kid, if he's not wanting to play in the USHL or the USHL isn't the right spot, the top end teams are going to be the top end teams. I think Penticton's doing well in the Dub this season. So who knows? It was a good conversation starter. I like it. I just don't like, for Canadians, I think the BCHL is the null, and for Americans, the null is the null.
Okay, there's your answer, everybody. So that may or may not have satisfied the question, but I thought we'd dive into a little bit because
shout out Bismarck, North Dakota.
Screw
Bismarck,
Bismarck,
shout
North
out
Dakota.
Bismarck.
Love Bismarck, North Dakota.
We actually shouted out Bismarck on the College Pod this week, funnily enough.
Oh, yeah, so we have a pro
why?
Bismarck pod. We can have a negative Bismarck pod.
Wow. Well, some other news and notes. Last week we mentioned the Minnesota Mallards and their coaching situation. It sounds like they've officially hired Dennis Canfield as the new interim coach. So that's just a tidbit I wanted to follow up on. And another one too that I mentioned last week, the Johnstown situation in the Null. It sounds like, I guess it wasn't like necessarily a firing or someone getting let go. It sounds like, and this was according to that Twitter account, the Klanko account. I'm not sure who that is. But it sounds like it was more like the coach was possibly on leave to try and get an NCAA job, I guess, or something like that. So sort of a vague scenario. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So if we have any Johnstown connections or listeners, fill us in, because I'm hearing conflicting things. So I don't.
Shout out Gary Biggs. That's all I have to say about Johnstown.
Sweet. And speaking of the Null as well, I thought I'd shout out Minnesotan Beck Leiden. I'm never exactly sure how I say his last name, but plays for the St. Cloud Norsemen. He never played regular high school hockey. He played at North Star, but he's a guy that I interviewed a couple months ago, and I know that he was looking to make a Division I commitment, so not committed yet, but definitely a solid goalie for the Norsemen, and cool to see that he hit 1,000 Null saves. So a guy that's making a lot of saves for the Norsemen in net, and a guy that grew up in the Alexandria area. So might not have played regular high school hockey, but he's a Minnesotan who plays hockey. So obviously relevant to our listeners. Kind of another just conversation we briefly talked about. I think Drew touched on it for like 20 seconds last week, but there's been a lot of chatter of whether or not JP Hurlburt is going to be going to the NCAA after this season, or if he's going to be going back to junior hockey. There's a lot of talk on some of these players. I know we even talked about like Wyatt Cullen on the pod in the past of like, okay, what do you do? Are you going to college right away? Are you going to play another year in juniors to try and make sure like that adjustment is a little easier? That's might be kind of an interesting thing here with JP Hurlburt, because last time I checked, and this is from a week ago, so it's probably out of date already, but he had 84 points in 55 WHL games as a 17-year-old. So clearly he's already kind of on that top end of the spectrum of players. And just, I feel like if you're him, it would make sense to kind of go to school next year, but you never know. It's a tricky game, because obviously then you don't want to go and then have to come back and get your development all weird. So I don't know if you guys have even really been paying that much attention to the Dub, but I've been seeing a lot of chatter about it online.
Yeah, I think there's chatter about it online just because he's so good. I mean, he's a poster child for Texas hockey at this point. But I don't know. I think we talked about this last week, and I made the point that I don't know who his advisor is, and that throws everything into chaos depending on who the advisor is.
Yeah, very true. Depending on who's representing you. And yeah, I know there was a couple good stories out there too. So I just wanted to kind of mention it because we were wrapping up the show kind of quickly last week, but saw some good pieces about it as well, and how like obviously he really wants to go to Michigan, and obviously like it was a big thing. Like he grew up, being a Michigan fan and stuff. So I think if you're a Wolverines fan too, you're like, please come play here. We don't want to like have a scenario where you go back to juniors and then you skip that step entirely or something because you're ready to go pro. So obviously for college hockey fans, you'd want him to get to college hockey and then stay there a little while, but never know. Drew, do you have something to add? I could not.
Yeah, my mic was muted. My bad. He's got CAA as an advisor. That was kind of some deep diving I did this week. He's got CAA, and what I would say is, if he was still at the NTDP, this would be a no-brainer, and I don't think that changes after 1 year in Kamloops. I understand that this has been the way that the Canadians have always done it. They stay in junior the whole time and then go straight to the NHL. What good is another year in the WHL going to do for JP Hurlburt would be my question. Clearly, he's already dominating the competition. I don't know where he sits like in league scoring, but like, how well does that continue to prepare you if you keep just destroying competition in the dub, right? Like, sorry, I'm trying to pull up the stats for this year for JP. He's 4th in the league in scoring. Next year he's going to be number 1. Like, why does it matter if you're 1 or 4? You're averaging 1.5 a game. Like, I just don't see the value in staying there another year. If he was at the NTDP putting up these numbers, Michigan would be like, yeah, you're coming in. And do you think now that he's in Kamloops that they're like, well, I think you might need another year? Because, yes, it's advisor a little bit, but it's also the school. Like, the school's going to want that kid coming to play for them next season. Like, that's at the end of the day. Like,
they got to get some NIL deals. Get those NIL deals going.
Yeah, well, that's probably part of the reason why the Canadians think they can keep him up there. But, like, I don't know. I would take a wild guess that the Kamloops Blazers alumni base doesn't compare to the University of Michigan's alumni base when it comes to dollars. I don't know if Dave Portnoy exists in the Kamloops world, and I might be completely wrong, and Kamloops might be like the money capital of Canada, but who knows?
It's not. But I'm surprised you went for Dave Portnoy right away instead of Stephen Ross, who I think is one of the top 12 richest human beings in the world. University of Michigan.
I'm a Viva guy, dude. I'm a Viva. Go Prez, go. I could go in a lot of they just bought a quarterback this offseason for $10 million.
Well, Larry Ellison bought the quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like you're telling me they can't go buy a center from Kamloops for $1 million?
No, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I also think one thing that works in Michigan's favor is Naurato getting a contract extension, because if he was on the hot seat and they fired Naurato, I mean, that might be cause for Hurlburt and his camp to look at the situation like, okay, we don't know who's coming in. It might be a super defensive coach. It might be somebody that we just don't jive with personality wise. But yeah, I mean, I could see him playing for Michigan next year. I just don't think anything is set in stone until the kid is on campus in uniform playing in a game.
For sure. And then just one other note kind of on major juniors. I just thought I'd mention this since we don't talk about it a ton, but kind of cool and interesting since we talk about the USHL. Former USHL forward Nikita Klepov is just honestly just slaying in the OHL right now. And he's got kind of another just wild path. He is from Russia, played in Russia for a long time, and then played a year of 15U with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. So not
noted powerhouse.
Not necessarily the most name-dropped AAA program. And then joined Sioux City last year and, had real good stats there for such a young player. And now is playing with the Saginaw Spirit and leads the team in scoring as a 17-year-old. And I believe I saw the team account might have posted that it was most points by a rookie ever for their team. So just kind of crazy to see that path from Russia to then a AAA program that's not necessarily, a super household name one, to then the USHL and the OHL, and he's a Michigan State commit, I believe. So should be on the path to college hockey, but again, you might get that same scenario similar to Hurlburt of you're probably going to have a lot of people after the draft this summer that are going to have a lot of opinions on where you end up. So it might be a little interesting to see kind of what happens there as well.
Yeah, leading the OHL in points. Do you think Michigan State's going to be like, yeah, hey, we want you to wait another year?
Yeah, like they're
Yeah,
gonna want him to
yes,
come in.
100%.
The NHL is gonna, have opinions on where he goes, but I'm sure that team's like, please, please,
Yeah,
please come back.
I wasn't as familiar with Klepov's story. That's actually kind of weird. They have another forward on their team that played with the Caps last season that's been tearing it up too. Probably a line mate with Klepov that has a very similar story where was in Russia, came over, played in America. Igor Barabanov's the one I'm referring to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Interesting story is an understatement. That kid played for like 5 different AAA programs.
Yeah. And like he was in Sioux Falls for a year. Like at the beginning of the year last year, wasn't doing so hot. They traded him to Madison, and now he's up in Saginaw, probably on a line, I would guess, because I'm guessing you're not going to have 2 80-point guys if you're Saginaw and have them on like line 1 and line 2. So that's actually crazy that they like both have like that similar storyline. I don't think Igor was going to Wilkes-Barre. I also love when that's the case, when like Igor comes over and they say like Anaheim, California is his hometown, but yet he played in New Jersey with the Colonials, the Jersey Shore. Like, what
for Klepov, it said Florida too, and I was like, well,
yeah,
very, like
birthplace, but I looks like he didn't really play hockey there unless he just played mini mites or something. I don't know.
Barabanov, you could never tell what team Barabanov was going to be on. He was with the Junior Ducks for a year. I think he played Pitt Penn's Elite for a year. New Jersey Rockets, maybe.
This is a wild path too. Not Scranton or anything, but going back all the way to 1920, New Jersey Colonials, AAA. Also Ridge High School, New Jersey, and then Jersey Shore Whalers. Again,
Whatever
also
the hell
not a
that
household
is.
name. New Jersey Rockets. That's a little bit more well known there. Getting there, and then eventually joined at the Sioux Falls Stampede. A year and change with the Stampede. Ends up getting traded to Madison for most of last year, and now is in the OHL. So kind of cool to see those guys who are playing with programs who like. I don't know really anybody who's played on the Jersey Shore Whalers of the USPHL 18U AAA League. But that's kind of cool. Well, it looks like he didn't maybe play too many games with them, but kind of cool to see some of those guys who are playing those kind of from a Minnesotan's perspective, kind of a random AAA program, and then still end up making waves and doing well and all that good stuff. And it looks like his Instagram's private. Wasn't he a Penn State commit at one point?
Yeah.
I don't know if he still is, because I know they decommitted a lot of guys recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not anymore, just because I know Penn State kind of had a lot of like back and forth the CHL recruiting open. So I'm not sure if he still is or not.
Who's got the helicopter going over top?
Oh, that's me. Sorry. I guess there's some hardcore stuff happening in Sartell.
Love it. No, Igor's got the weird story. It doesn't say he's committed to Penn State still on his thing, which is weird because, like, yeah, you'd probably go back and forth. But if you're putting up 80 points, you're telling me Penn State wouldn't want that kid committed to their school, at least even as an 06, like maybe is it that he's not going in this year and they just don't have a roster spot for him? I don't know. So, yeah, it's a weird one. Igor Barabanov. Would be nice if he was making waves for the Caps still. Want to throw that out there.
Yeah, does he want to come back to the Caps? They might want to. Wow,
yeah,
Peter, I searched up his name on Twitter, and there's a picture of him from 2018 in a Pittsburgh Penguins outfit. So I don't know who took that photo. It could have been you, but there's a photo from October 19th, 2018.
It might have been me.
Penguins outfit.
He's wearing like 74, right?
I can't really tell the number, but it's got the whole Penguins uniform going on. For Pittsburgh Penguins Elite wins 8-3 over the Florida Alliance. So you guys were on Igor Barabanov for many years now. Many years.
He showed up at a tournament we used to run. I think he showed up at the show one year, and he was really good, and I didn't know where he was from, and then I saw him play in another tournament. So I've been following the Igor Barabanov saga for a long time.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I don't know. I keep trying to find the college stuff, you know. Oh, I guess I see a tweet last year, 2025. Scott Wheeler says, sounds like Saginaw forward Igor Barabanov has decommitted from Penn State. Not sure what the situation is, but I know that Penn State has had kind of a lot of guys, you know, back and forth type thing. I'm looking at, oh, these tweets are really old. Never mind. I was not searching on the latest function. But we'll see then if he ends up in the NCAA or not. I don't know. Question mark. Other kind of miscellaneous and funny things as we wrap up the show here. I thought it was kind of funny. I saw a tweet from the Shreveport Mudbugs that, you know, this isn't their fault because apparently there was a water main break in the city. But because of that, the bathrooms were not working. So they pretty much said, please use the bathroom before the game or there are porta potties. But I just thought that was not what I was expecting out of a team announcement when I saw that pop up on my Instagram. And Drew,
Grab a hot dog, sit on the John. Yeah, I gotta figure out my mute situation.
oh, you're good.
Yeah, grab a hot dog, go sit on the Porta John, and get back for the third period at George's Pond at Hearst's Coliseum.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Or just notably, apparently Omaha of the USHL has a new mascot now. Oh, there's the new one. I was going to say I hadn't seen a new picture of it. For anyone listening, there's a new one. Fans had to say goodbye to Blades recently, the name of the old one. So I don't know all the lore, but apparently there's new things happening for the Lancers. But the new one does look more like a Lancer.
You don't see the resemblance of a Lancer with the old one?
No. You?
No, not at all. The chicken's weird.
Mascot, but it doesn't really necessarily look like a knight.
How can you not root for Omaha, man? How can you not root for Omaha?
You know, just I don't know, a lot of random things.
I've just never seen it before where in like mid-March a mascot retire the mascot and instead of just like replacing, like, you know how like they do it at colleges now where I feel like I see it on TikTok every May where like whatever, like Cosmo the Cougar at BYU like walks through the door on one side and then on the other side it's Cosmo the Cougar without a head on the Cosmo body and it's just like the student athlete running it. Like I feel like Cosmo the Cougar still lives on. I guess they wanted to move on from the chicken even though the actor or the mascot person was leaving, or maybe it's the same person. I had some intel that it was probably a person switching. But yeah, interesting stuff there for sure. And best of luck to what was his name again?
Blades.
Blades. I think what's the new guy's name?
I don't know.
I'll find it.
I don't know.
You guys conversate for a minute.
Lance the Lancer.
Lance Bass.
I want you guys each to come up with what you think the best name would be for this.
I mean, I feel like Lance the Lancer would make the most sense, but you know, I don't.
Lance a lot.
Yeah, like something like that. I don't.
Lance a little.
Lance a little.
It is Lance. It is Lance.
Okay.
I will say that Lance the Lancer. Like, I feel like he could have did a little better than that.
Yeah, not super creative, but
shout out the soccer team in Madison, Forward Madison, former affiliate of Minnesota United. They unveiled a mascot this past year, and it's a flamingo as their mascot. They named the thing Strut. I don't get it.
Strut.
Okay.
Strut.
Okay.
I have some members in their front office that were pretty upset that the name wasn't Domingo the Flamingo because that would have been awesome.
Wow.
I would have been completely on board with Domingo the Flamingo. Are you guys like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's a way better name than Strut. But
I'd be more on board with Domingo than Strut.
Yeah, I didn't get Strut, but yeah. So that's the mascot. We do have one video today, Sid.
You do have one. Okay, toss it up.
Yeah.
Bombs away.
It's everyone's favorite coach, Rocky Russo. Instead of shaking hands with the other team's coaches, just barged off the ice after the game.
No.
Like he beat the team off, walked all the way by himself. The assistant coaches stayed to shake hands. That guy is a content factory. That's all I know. To anyone at home,
He's got a great name. He's got to be a content factory.
to anyone at home, I would recommend going to watch a lot of like the clips that come out of Rocky from their coaches show, all that. Last season, they won the Anderson Cup in Madison. And like most coaches would be like, you know what, I'm going to let the guys celebrate this, like kind of do their thing. Rocky went out on the ice and was high-fiving the guys, which I'm all about, like celebrating with your boys. I think that's just like the type. He's a high-energy, high-character guy. And clearly he let his character show here in a negative way. But on the other side, I think he loves to celebrate and kind of be vocal. So I would recommend going to watch some clips. Whenever the team loses, watch the radio show the next week. It's always on like YouTube, but there'll always be some clips. It's always funny though. And like he comes to town, and trust me, I'm not in any way, shape, or form in a position where I should be like joking about somebody's body shape, but like he's got to stand up on the bench to see over the players. Like it's just a very funny thing to watch. And like, he does a great job of coaching and like puts it together somehow, gets the boys to buy in, which is the big part, right? Who cares? You could look like Shrek. And if you're coaching good still, like you're in business. Shrek, Lord Farquaad, Rocky Russo, like you can do whatever you need to start coaching and get in the right spot if you can get the boys buzzing. So I just wanted to shout out Rocky. It was kind of funny. The voice of the Sioux Falls Stampede, Jim Olander, longtime voice there, said Rocky's going down the tunnel to cry his way home or something like that. So the blood, it's I think it's people love it. I don't know. I love watching it come across my feed once in a while. I don't know if I'd love to have to deal with it every single game, but it's fun once in a while to have a high energy guy like that. Also, another one, if Youngstown ever gets like screwed by the refs or anything, and like you can tell the coaches are mad, go watch the post game conferences with him too, with Ryan Ward. That's another one where the press conferences are great. Like the clips that come out of that are great, and they're like 4 or 5 minutes long only. So like, don't tell me you don't have time. The Rocky radio show is an hour long. I can understand how you don't have time for that. The Ryan Ward press conferences are great, though.
He is a quote machine. That guy. I love him because he's always had a few minutes for me whenever I've asked for a random interview. Watching him coach the Windy City, I think it was the Windy City 08 group, and they're scattered across the USHL and the CHL right now. But watching him command the bench for a U13 team, and then watching him command the bench in the USHL, you talk about a leader of men. I think those kids would follow Ryan Ward into a hurricane.
Wow. Well, that feels like kind of the perfect note to end on. Just some funny, cool stuff here. And obviously, if you ever have any interesting tidbits, feel free to send them to any of us, because we're always looking for random, funny, interesting things for the end of the show. But that's pretty much all we got for you here this week. Sorry if we went on too many tangents, but I thought we covered a lot of ground, a lot of leagues, a lot of city names in Canada as well. But thanks so much for listening. Hopefully our schedules get a little bit easier after this week, after the boys tournament's done, but probably not. We'll see. It's just one thing after another. But thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Sydney Wolf, joined by Peter Rodney and Drew Steele, and we will be back again, hopefully, next week.